That's right. We're talking about the Great Awakening, and I'm going to share with you the 3 things you need to know about it, what's really going on behind the scenes, and 3 things you need to know to keep your power so that you don't give it away, and understanding how to most easily move through the times we live in right now. Welcome back to another video. My name is Aaron, and I help people expand their consciousness. Now in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you more on what is called the Great Awakening. Yes, right now there are many people waking up on the planet right now. And part of the reason is because there's a lot of stuff going on in the outer world that's causing pressure, and that pressure then causes people to go through a process where they go beyond that which they currently think, that which they currently feel, and that which they currently do. And of course, that which you currently do is you're probably just at home. You might not be doing much at all right now. But that's a part of this process. Now, when we talk about that of the Great Awakening, I'm going to share some things with you. Some of the content I'm going to share with you is my own perspective of it. The one thing that I always recommend that every single one of you do is to do your own research, okay? I'm not here to tell you what to believe. I'm not here to say that I'm an expert at all of this. There's people that probably been doing this and studied this way longer than I have. The Great Awakening has to do with us coming into our power as people and also as a collective. For a long period of time, there have been a certain elite number of people on the planet that have had a great deal of power. Now, I know this sounds very esoteric and it sounds very much like conspiracy theory, but I think that we'll find in the next couple of years, many conspiracy theories are actually true. We're just negatively primed to when we hear it, we're like, you know, we think of it like some guy with like really big hair that's like, the aliens, you know what I mean, or something like that. But this is something that I've studied since 2000. I'm not an expert studier at this or anything, but since 2012, I've been looking into this. I went on a certain kind of rabbit hole where I started to experience a little bit more negative things from studying it so much, because it's not necessarily the most positive things. But now it's circling back around, because here we are in 2020, and a lot of the things that I studied back then are now coming to fruition. And one of the things that I came to understand is that there is a power structure dynamic on the planet, that it has certain intentions to keep people in fear and anger, because when people are in fear and anger, they're much easier able to be controlled. Plus, they look to authority for safety. So they're more likely to be told what to do, and they'll just do it. And what happens is there's a certain number of people that for a long time have been into this kind of understanding of keeping the power and keeping people in ignorance, keeping people away from understanding this kind of information. Kind of the way it worked for me is I went through my awakening, and I became aware and learned how to meditate, and I started looking into these things, and it was super obvious to me that there's more going on behind the scenes than we're actually shown. And then I actually met some people that had firsthand experience with some things that were kind of hidden behind, you know, the government, stuff like that. And it made me aware of certain things. And then I started, okay, there's something here I need to study a little bit more. Now, the people and some of the things that will happen will have to do with understanding a dynamic that's going on between many different factions. And what's happened on the planet, to kind of summarize it all up, is there's a frequency on the planet that is beginning to raise. This was talked about in the book called The Law of One. I have a whole bunch of them right over here. Let me show you. These books right here called The Law of One. There's 5 different books total, I believe, 5 or 6. And they're very powerful for understanding kind of what's going on in the world. It talks a lot about kind of some of the things that are going on behind the government that was back in like the 80s. It talks about how what's going on right now is something called the harvest. Now the harvest has to do with it's this evolution of consciousness that we have the ability to tap into. Now the thing is this has been happening for a while now, but there's a certain number of people on the planet that don't want this to happen. Because the more we raise our vibration, the more aware we become, and the more aware we become, the less likely we are to be controlled, and the more likely we are to see what is going on behind the scenes. And if we see what's going on behind the scenes, many of us may get kind of angry about what's been going on. And things like ET technology, ETs, understanding many different layers have been kept behind the scenes. And this is something that we think of as conspiracy theory, and I understand if you're seeing this video right now, it may seem a little bit out there to you. But like I said, do your own research. Don't take my word for it. Don't just believe me because I'm some guy on YouTube. But also you can study Dolores Cannon. She's got some great books. She's got 17 or 19 books of people in a very deep level of hypnosis. Their higher self comes through their subconscious mind, and they say why they incarnated at this time, and through thousands of different people said very similar things. I came here to be a part of the of its shift in consciousness. They didn't say the Great Awakening. That's maybe more of a 3D term that we use. And it has different connotations as well. But there are people, okay, so there's people that don't want the evolution of our vibration on the consciousness to continue to raise. And that's because then they lose power. And some of the things they may do is they may orchestrate certain events. And by orchestrating certain events, it puts us into a receptivity to where then we're more open to certain things that may actually dumb us down a little bit more. And they've done, and this is something they've done for a while, but the thing is we're gaining our power back. We're becoming more aware of this now. This isn't something to be, I think that this is something that's actually very empowering as more and more people become aware of it. And I believe that over the next 5 or 10 years, our society is going to change in such a profound ways, and I think that even though a lot of things are going to tear down, I think it's going to be super, super empowering and positive in the end. It's just going to be a little bit scary going through it for some people because they're going to be so identified with it. Now, the first thing that you need during the Great Awakening that's going to be going on is you need discernment. Discernment. I have heard certain people talk about certain things that, I might look up to and think, oh, they got this type of information. And then they tell me certain things. Oh, this is going to happen. This is what insiders told me. And then I'm thinking, oh, maybe it is. But, like different people in media and stuff that share this kind of information, almost kind of like what I'm doing on YouTube. But the thing is, I found that that's a way that the thing that I really need to have is discernment and going within in my own intuition. Because when I hear certain things, there's been times where I heard certain things, but my own intuition told me the opposite, or that wouldn't probably happen. And it's been many times it's actually been right, my own intuition. Not to say my own intuition is better than your intuition. I'm just saying that, like, even though I might look on the outside and look to certain people that have like researched this for a long time or something, I found that the best source is my own discernment. So when you even listen to me right now, have your own discernment. If you're listening to, I think questioning is a good thing. Question what you see and go within yourself to see what resonates, There's a lot of posts about different organizations that might be fighting the bad stuff that's going on in the back, and maybe they're true, maybe they're not, I don't know, but I do know that I'm just going to go within myself to see what resonates, what doesn't resonate. But if you jump on the bandwagon of certain things, you might find that you get really, really excited about certain things, but it might not really resonate. It's almost like a way of giving power away, which is kind of leads me to the second one, is don't give away your power. And don't think that this is about waiting for something on the outside to transform. Like some things that may happen on the outside is our currency may be revamped. Money's not backed by gold. It hasn't been backed by gold in a long time. The media, have you ever wondered why 99.9% of the media is completely negative and inducing fear into people? Well, because the media is owned by 6 major corporations, and those 6 major corporations have a certain agenda, and part of that agenda is to keep people in a fearful state, because when people are in a fearful survival state, they're much easier to control. I think that in the next so many years, I think there will be a process, and it will begin to switch over. I don't think it'll happen instantaneously. Anybody that tells you that this stuff's going to happen like this, I would be very cautious of buying into that. I would just maybe go within yourself to see if it resonates. Corrupt people. Some of these people are actually very well-known celebrities too, which is kind of sad. Like some people you've seen in movies and stuff, talk show hosts and stuff, and you'd be like, I can't believe that they're involved with all of that. But it's connected to some pretty dark stuff. We did a meditation recently, and there were people all over the world that did this global meditation. There's over 1 million people doing it. We all meditated on love, peace, positive timelines, stuff like that. I was blown away by how many people showed up, and we did this meditation. It was super powerful. And the next day, the Schumann resonance, which is the frequency of the earth, was unprecedented amount of energy was from that day. And we meditated on that, and it was incredible. Now, that's the good side of it, because they've showed with the meditation effect or the Maharishi effect that if you had like 5,000 people meditating on love and peace, it could reduce the violence on the planet by 70%. Well, we did that with 1 million people to put us on a better timeline on April 5th or 4th or 5th. And what happens is that's a very positive way of affecting the collective consciousness. And on a negative side of it, you have some corrupt people where they do very dark things, and they do things with a lot of symbolism, and what that does is they try to keep the consciousness in a lower vibe state, because if it's lower vibe state, then it's easier to control. Now, the Great Awakening is about raising above that. I do believe we will raise above that, but the thing to remember is that this is a reflection also of our own level of consciousness. So while it might be tempting to look to the outside, the main thing here is to actually go within and to see, what does this reflect back to me? As old systems break down on the outside, what systems are breaking down in my own belief system? What systems are breaking down in my own life? What's not working anymore? Do I need to go more within myself? Are there parts of my shadow that I need to integrate? And these are all things that we can become more aware of. And ET existence announced. The government, people behind the government, whatever we call it, they've known about this for a very long time. There's a lot of whistleblowers that have talked about this. There's, in those books, The Law of One I'm talking about. I actually know someone that has worked for something where they would know, they have information about this. And it was kind of shocking when I first learned about it, but it just is what it is. That, I think, will come into understanding. I think that there may be a revamp of our tax structure. That may be another part of it as well. All of this stuff I find very interesting. However, these are all on the outside. What does this show us on the inside? So this is about going within us and doing the inner work ourselves. Because as we do the inner work, we then transform the outer reality. So it's like, this is the collective consciousness stuff that's being brought up, and it's showing us a lot. The third thing that's very important is something that many people on spiritual awakening may not like to hear, or just in general: patience. I don't think that all of this is going to happen like this. I don't think there's going to be like one solar flash, it's like done, like patched up, done, this is Great Awakening is done. I think this is going to be a process. And I think that, they talk sometimes about some of these corrupt people maybe getting arrested right now, like kind of behind the scenes, we're not aware of it. Maybe that's happening, but I don't necessarily think that's going to happen like this. I just don't. I think that it'll be a little bit longer of a drawn-out process. I think there's many different layers to it. There really is a lot going on behind the scenes. And the thing to do here is to go within yourself and to do your own inner work, and to understand that all of this on the outside is a reflection of the collective consciousness. And it's also reflecting back something to us individually. But the most important thing I'd say with the whole Great Awakening is to raise your vibration. And when we do these live meditations, I think that I want to honestly, what I want to do is I want to help get other people involved with these meditations, and other YouTubers even, and we all do meditations at a certain time on our own channels, and what that does is it increases this probability. So I've thought about, me and my buddy Victor Odo were talking about this the other day, and we both kind of had the idea at around the same time. It was really interesting, and thinking like us, Lior, like other YouTubers as well. If you guys have ideas, let me know below. And what if we got a whole bunch of us and we all did meditations at the same time, like we did for that day? I think it could really shift us to a better timeline. I believe there's a timeline right now where everything that's happening with what's going on in the world, where there's way more people affected. I think that there's a timeline that exists there, but we're raising our own level of consciousness and we're shifting out of that. So I think that right now there's a lot going on there. So I recently did a video called The Great Awakening, It Has Begun. If you haven't checked it out yet, check it out below. I explain this a little bit more, and I explain mainly Dolores Cannon, The Law of One, a little bit more. That video got so much response that I saw there was more demand for another video like this. So check out that video below. Other than that, subscribe to the channel. If you haven't already, I'll be making a lot more videos. I'm excited. And other than that, as always, peace, much love, and namaste.